All righty. Well, and welcome. So.
Yes, we're excited to have Randy.
Yeah, well, Randy is, I don't know how exciting it's going to be. We'll have to get the roundup afterwards and see how exciting it is. But, you know, the exciting thing maybe is that it will be short and sweet. That might be the exciting part. So anyway, I guess we can call our meeting to order. And let me just pull up the split screen here so I can get there we go. Our agenda.
Peter, are you now the chairman of the board?
Yes. I don't know.
By default.
By default, probably. Oh, that is one thing. Well, why don't we discuss this at the end? We can go and under new business. Let's keep our agenda. Approval of minutes from February 26th, was it? 24th?
23rd, I think it was.
23rd? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second. Let me take this down. Minutes. Martha here. Okay. I don't see anybody else. Is there anybody on a phone or anything?
Nope, just us.
Okay. Just us?
Just us.
So, in case somebody shows up,
I'll let you know.
Back to public speak time. Motor vehicle abatement applications.
Yep. Want me to read it off, or do you want to read it?
You can read it off.
Okay. 2019, we have $18.75. 2020, we have $654.83. And 2021, we have $5,021.64.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
You hear a motion. I motion to approve.
All right. So, payments. Okay, and I'll second.
All right.
Moving right along.
Motor vehicle recommitments. We have 2016 at $35, 2015 at $28.75, another 2016 at $45, 2017 at $110, and another 2017 at $18.75.
I make a motion to approve those.
Okay, I will second. And moving ahead.
We have one motor vehicle abatement denial, and that's because they had the plate through the end of December. And that's for 2000.
There seems to be a lot of that going on this year.
There's a lot of that going on. So that's a 2020, and that's one.
Okay.
There's one of them.
Okay, motion to approve.
Okay. And I will second.
Then we have real estate exemptions, 2021, real estate of $3,400 and CPA of $98.36.
Okay. Martha?
I approve. Motion to approve.
Okay.
Fired.
And I will second.
So are those exemptions that just came in, Christine?
Excuse me?
So those are exemptions that just came in or were just recently approved?
Yes. I have 4 of them.
Oh, okay.
They were 3 41Cs and 1 22 veterans.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
Okay. And the real estate abatements?
I looked through all of the abatements, so
Yeah.
I was able to get in the office early, as you know. And one of the things is I did was just made a spreadsheet of all the abatements that we had and kind of looked at them all as I was inputting them. And there were a few that I felt were something that we could vote on right away because it's kind of a no-brainer.
Okay.
So I've got application number 3. And it's from June O'Leary, and they were applied a penalty on their tax bill for not sending in the proper information. And so when we looked, we found that it was an error on our part and that they did submit the proper information. And so the penalty really shouldn't apply.
Okay.
And so we just want to remove that.
Okay.
And so if we approve it, it will just remove that $250 fee.
So it's an income expense thing? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Income and expense.
Okay,
All right,
Martha?
so
I mean, do we vote on them individually?
Or we can vote on them
I
together.
mean, how many do we have?
there would be 4 total.
4, okay. And are they all income and expense?
No, they're
Okay.
different situations, so maybe we
All
should
right.
do them individually.
All right, we should do them individually then.
Make motion to approve.
Okay. So this would be for RE abatements. Approve, I'll second the motion. So we'll call that number 1. And what was the name?
It was O'Leary.
O'Leary, okay.
I think it's
Okay.
Joanne, her first name, I think.
Yeah, Joanne.
Well, we'll see when we have to sign them anyway, so.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Right, okay. And so
then
I
we have
just want to
another
make
one.
sure that if we accept or deny that we sign the right ones. Okay, number 2.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. And this next one is a denial.
Okay,
So it's Pantheon Associates Regional Realty LLC regarding 120 Union Street. And apparently they didn't get their second quarter bill. And some interest was applied. And that's what they're looking for relief for, is from the interest on the unpaid bill. Let's see. I'm asking for relief of the interest of the assessment as I did not receive the second quarter bill, tax bill. Even if I didn't have money for the real estate tax, I surely would have paid the $22.34 personal property bill. And so it's really, that's out of our jurisdiction. It's something that's handled by the collector. If they so choose, they can waive the interest, but usually they don't. And the way the state of Massachusetts looks at it is not receiving your bill is no excuse for not paying it. And that you know you have the bills and that they're due, or and we're well advertising it in town, I'm sure. And so this is just a basic denial, because we can't even affect what he's looking for, give him the relief that he's looking for.
right, because that's a tax collector purviews, correct?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Okay,
All righty.
motion to approve that one. And he's a real estate guy. He should know that not receiving a bill is no excuse.
Right, well,
Just saying.
yes.
I took assessor school.
Every year we have the thing with the income and expenses, and I didn't see it, I didn't get it, and I filled it out, and whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's gotten a little more heated at times, because when we changed it from $50 to $250, people had a little more skin in the game, and for $50, people just keep paying it. So, I get it, but.
Yeah, many times it's less, the fee is less than the reported, the tax, than what.
Exactly.
If they reported to us, they'd be paying more, and so they just pay the fee and don't report.
Right. So that's why that was changed. All righty, moving right along here.
Okay, so we've got
Number
another
3.
one. And this is on 232 Park, and it's Easthampton Park Solar 1 LLC is the owner.
Okay.
So this is a solar pilot that we have.
Yeah.
And because and what they're saying is that the amount of personal property tax that they've been charged is not in line with what the agreed upon pilot payment amount is. And this usually happens every year. Either, we try our best to estimate a personal property value without knowing what the tax rate is going to be that will satisfy that pilot agreement, but we'll usually end up having to do either what I refer to as an administrative abatement, because we asked for too much once the tax rate was settled.
Right.
or a supplemental bill where we basically add the uncharged funds to the bill. So if, for instance, it was $32,000, but we charged them $31,658, we would amend the bill to have an extra, $40 or $39.22.
Right. Okay.
And so that's what this is going to be. And so they're asking, in this case, the value is more, and they want us to abate back to the agreed upon pilot payment amount. And that's just a no-brainer, something that I would try to be on top of, even if they didn't apply for an abatement once the tax rate came out, because those are just ones that what the amount has to be, and that every year you're most likely going to have to adjust to make sure we're hitting the proper number.
Right. Yeah, our first one was, nobody even gave us any guidance from the state or whatever, and I actually, along with the assessor, kind of came up, and actually the hedge fund person in San Francisco, we came up with a formula that seemed to work fine, but they didn't particularly care for it. They thought that a pilot and a tax agreement were not one and the same. So anyway, those things do get, the solar things get kind of zany, but I get it. So are we to accept this?
Yeah, this is an approval because it was an over-evaluation, so we'll have to abate back to the proper amount.
Yep. All right. Martha?
I'll make them. How come I'm making all the motions tonight? I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, I'm writing.
Okay, that's great. Just didn't want
Alrighty.
one-sided, that's all.
And number 4.
Okay, and last but not least, I'm giving this one a little bit more thought now, but it's for 352 East Street. And it's Linda Barron is the owner, and she applied for an abatement last year. She has a note, let me read it. I applied for abatement in January of 2020 when the assessed valuation of my home and land totaled $235,000. Following an inspection done by Lori, I was quite happy to learn that my requested had been granted. The appraised valuation got dropped from $235,000 to $217,800. I felt that was fair then, and I still do. However, despite the tax rate having dropped somewhat, my current valuation increased by $6,000. It's now $223,800. No improvements have been made since the inspection just 12 months ago. If anything, my home is depreciated yet again. Damage from more than one ice dam still exists. As a result, I am sincerely requesting the assessed valuation please return to the previous abated figure of $217,800. And my outlook initially was that, unfortunately, the real estate values rise, and it's nothing that we did to single her out, but it was just something that was done to all of the property in town that was similar to hers. And it should, like I said, initially I thought it was maybe a denial, but once I was reading this again, I thought, well, maybe I would offer to come out and do an inspection. And then at that time, I could talk to her and try and explain some of that. And then we can deny her after she's had a chance to speak to the new assessor.
I kind of like that idea. I think that that's a kinder, gentler, assessor office kind of thing, which, we're always for. And, many times when we have conversations with people, Randy, it comes down that they look at what their neighbor's house is, or, their cousin across town or whatever. They don't realize that the increase of value is something that's based on a formula for the entire town, not just their house. And that, if the factor is whatever the factor is and it goes up, then, everybody's kind of goes up. So they don't, people don't understand that. And this also might help her understand that, moving forward or whatever, that, this is how this thing works, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so I could, to build on what you're saying, I could maybe bring a couple of property record cards showing her similar properties that are close to her and how those increased in their value
Sure.
for last year too, to say, see, this is just what's happening all over town, and we have to do that because we're supposed to react to the market, and this is what's happening in the market. So values are increasing, and we can't just leave your value the way it is for multiple years when everyone else is having to edge
Right,
up.
right. And so we had the reval year, and and I mean, just being in my business, when you start looking at values are up, 8, 9, 10%, and people are looking at what market value is. And the other thing that we've gotten in the past has been, well, I have no intention of selling it. Well,
Kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I get that, but were you to, and in the law states, we have to go by market value. So there we are. So, but I think that is a great suggestion, and I much appreciate you doing that, because I think that the education of the people is a good thing, and we've talked about that before, but we talked about it last year, and of possibly doing some outreach, and I know that. As far as where our new ethos is with our city government, that, the outreach and showing people and opening up of kind of what the process is. We had talked about maybe going to the senior center and doing a, 10, 15 minute type of, get to know one another and talk about what the process is. And, Lori, thought, that could work, but we got turned down because we weren't doing anything after March. So, it just didn't happen. But I mean, something like that, because I think that, any outreach is good, but yet I think that also with the seniors, sometimes they don't quite understand it or don't follow it as well as other people. And, and I also think that that's an easy way with the senior center being able to do it, because they could promote it and they could do the whole thing. So
yeah, because they have newsletters that go out and that type of thing.
Sure. And they have the facility there. They have the facility there to accommodate it. So I think that would be a great idea, and I think that it will it would get you out into the community a bit. So as long as you don't mind, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea too, and I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I have a PowerPoint presentation that I was going to ask the senior center about, because that's one of the things that I'm serious about, because I don't like hearing and have many times from the collector that or someone coming in saying, oh, the senior exemption, I'm 82. And I'm eligible, but my 71-year-old friend just told me about this, and I didn't know the whole time. And those exemptions, as you know, are set up for the people that need them. And so It stresses me when I hear those things coming in, and I want to do an awareness campaign about that, and for veterans also. And that's what they did in Lenox, and I did it also in the town of West Springfield when I was there. And they advertised it in their letter, and a couple of months out, they were advertising it, and then I finally came in, and we did have just an open question time after about, anything. And I got a few excise tax questions and that type of thing. But, it's good for the assessor's office to be available to the public. Another thing I did when I was in, another town is I would become a member of the Rotary Club. Mm-hmm. So that way, in the Rotary Club, many of the businesses, heads of business are there, and then they have access to the assessor's office, or it's just a way for them to have an opportunity to ask questions, or if they do have questions that they maybe wouldn't have asked if they didn't have someone there that they could, talk to. So, that might be something I consider doing in the future too. But, I definitely, sure. I'm good with the awareness thing, and I would be happy and really have something all set to go as far as, a PowerPoint presentation about exemptions. And I would just have to update it with the eligibility criteria for the coming year so that I could be accurately letting them know, well, you can't have income over this much or assets over that much.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
No, that's all great. I mean, any of the outreach, I mean, I think it's a great idea, and anything to kind of put a face behind it. And, you know, this has been a tough year because people, you know, aren't able to come in face to face anymore. You know, I mean, it's a phone call, and, you know, Christine is very good at what she does, but trying to alleviate people's anxieties over the phone, you know, it is not a good situation in most cases, you know, the face to face. And, you know, I mean, that might even be something to think about, you know, having, you know, have a cup of coffee with the assessor, you know, from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock on Thursdays, and, you know, call, you know, Zoom in or call in on your phone on Zoom, whatever. And, you know, let's do something like that maybe, you know, until we get back open again. You know, I don't know if it's something to consider, but, you know, kind of just flew into my head. But, you know, I like the thoughts of being a little more out in the community and being accessible, you know, because we need that. And I think once we are able to get out into the community, I think it would be something that would be well received. So good.
Yeah,
I like the idea.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm all for that.
Okay, so Ms. Barron, we are denying.
Well, we're going to hold off.
We're going to hold off on that.
I would
Okay.
say deny, but let's give, you know, let's give an opportunity, and who knows, maybe there's some bit of data that was missed, or you know, give it an honest, go through the process and see where we end up.
And I'm not concerned that she's going to think that we're stiffing her off because you're going to be contacting her, and she knows that we won't vote on it because we're giving her, we want to get more data from her. So that's the thing, you know, we can just hold that until the next meeting. That's fine. So, okay. Thank you for all that, Randy. Now, the new business, and I approached somebody to join the board. You might know, you probably know him, Martha. You know Scott Redmond?
Yeah.
From Maple, Maine?
Well, yeah.
Yep. And, you know, he lived on Clark Street and then lived in Eastworks and now lives off of Main Street, just down below you on Jesse Lane. Just bought a house. And,
wow.
And he's been looking at joining some kind of committee or whatever in town. He's been involved with the arts and he's been involved with other things, and he was looking, and I called him and reached out, and he said, you know, he's been thinking about it and he kind of liked that idea. So, I suggested that he send a letter to Nicole's office, and he did. I got CC'd the other day, so he sent that. So that's in process. I don't know, really. I think it goes from her, from Lindsay down to city council. I think it then goes to Barbara, and I think that it might go into committee. It could go in, you know. So, but anyway, so I'm kind of working on that. I didn't think she had anybody, and I've done work with Scott before, but I think he's very personable, and he's a good guy. So, you know, and he's knowledgeable. So, and he wants to do some stuff for the community. So, kind of sound like a trifecta. So, anyway.
Definitely.
So, any thoughts?
I think that sounds like a good idea. I've worked with him in the past as a realtor as well.
Yeah. And he was okay. He was okay with going to UMass and going to the school. And now Christine has told me that you can do it online now. So it's, you know.
Yep.
He doesn't have to give all that up. So anyway. So I'm not sure where that's going, but that's just kind of a point of information. So
We can always check on that too, to see what process they're going through with that.
Yeah. I mean, I know ultimately the appointment has to come from city council, but I don't know what happens after it goes in.
Okay.
You know, I mean, they switched everything. I mean, I was appointed by Mayor Mike, so, you know, and that
It took a while for me a few years ago. It took a good couple months for it to go through the whole process.
because it went the other direction. And I can't remember which one it was, but I guess the assessor was appointed by the city council and the board was appointed by the mayor. And then somehow it kind of it flipped around or whatever. I don't know. So is there any other new business?
Well, I think that we should encourage Scott to attend the next meeting even before he gets appointed.
Well, we could do that. We could do that to show him kind of what's going on a little bit. And right, we can extend that invitation. I can get you, Christine, his contact info.
Sure, great.
Well, actually, you might even check with wherever that letter is with Lindsay, or it might be in personnel. I don't know what happens with it, because personnel does have to be involved because of our stipend. So,
right.
They're involved. So
my thought was, just as a member of the public, he could attend the meeting.
Sure.
Until that time. And, also he might see that, hey, he wants to run for the hills and doesn't want anything to do with this once we start talking about abatement.
Oh, yeah, all right.
It sounds like it could be an asset, though. So,
I mean, I did tell him, there are times, which is why I always try to ask names and stuff, because there are times that I can't vote on something, and he would have the same issue. So, which is one reason that we really do need 3 people. So
yeah, definitely have a full board.
Right. So anyway, well, good. This was actually a productive meeting. I liked the discussion. We usually don't have much discussion.
No.
Now we have another voice.
Well, and I got a few more things to talk about. I just wanted to bring up the ATB cases were all postponed to another date.
Okay.
And, Pepin didn't take what was going on, but Peter, in the meantime, I found out some other information. And there's more than one lots that are affected by that floodplain down there. And some of them had a really greatly reduced value, just like they were in a 61A situation, but they weren't. And we've gotten 2 abatement applications from them. One was Mount Tom, and then the other was Mount Tom Dairy, and then the other was another person that owns the cottage on the Oxbow side, but they own all the land, like a big strip of land behind it.
Right.
And so they have applied now for this year, and it's it's the same situation, or it's just, when I'm looking at the situation, it's telling me that there's more than I really initially had considered that needs to be taken into account down there. So
right.
I'm trying
Lori last year, when all of this came up, put together a whole list of what was there. And she put it as some of what our protected lands were, or she put a formula there so that everything was even. And actually it was quite beneficial, and it got rid of the problems of some of the things being overvalued to a point. And so everything that was in those categories, like, unimproved land or, unbuildable land, whatever, everything was at the same factor. And that's what it was. And which we thought would have helped everybody. But apparently everybody didn't see it that way.
Well, and that's one of the things that they're talking about, is because the classification was 132, which is undevelopable land. And
Right.
that's the way it was. But since then, it has changed to 130, which is developable land. But there was, at first the value went, say, from 2,900 to 85,000. But then something happened again, and it was adjusted down to like 33,000. This is just one of the lots of Pepin that I'm taking numbers from.
Right.
And so, I mean, that is genuine agricultural land. I went down there today and looked over what was going on, and there were some guys at the Rod and Gun Club there. And I got out and talked to them a little bit and asked them, what happens in the springtime and that type of thing, to get a better idea of what was going on. So, I could see.
Oh, I mean, it floods. It floods in multiple areas.
Yeah.
And which is also, the reason it's such beautiful farmland.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. So, You know, I mean, I don't think anybody really disagrees with it. You know, the value of, I think the value of it is, you know, especially if there's a cottage on it that's attached to it and there's like, you know, an acre and a half. It's not like a normal acre and a half. I mean, it's unusable. You know, the cottage, and those cottages would never have, couldn't be built anyway now, but, you know, they're just there. They're just grandfathered.
Right. Yeah, because the bylaws of the town would prevent it at this point.
Right.
But, you know, one thing they did tell me is that, oh, this guy who owns this cottage, and it's the little red one down there, wanted to put in like a campground on his property that went quite far back, almost to the river on the other side, the Manhan, or I guess it's the Manhan.
Oh, yeah.
You know, well, obviously you couldn't do that if it's submerged for, you know, a portion of the year. But, you know, one of the things that Pepin is saying, and they've got this appraisal from Farm Credit Bank that's saying, you know, because we're at like 33,000 on this lot, and they're saying, well, my appraisal says it should be 22. And so I'm thinking that that might even work in our favor if we have, okay, we'll grant you from the 33 to the 22. We'll update our formula so that that is the value, but then we'll be able to use that to these other people that are close by that aren't in 61A and say, well, we're going to deny you, or we're putting your value to this, and here's why. Because we had an appellate tax court case, and this was the ruling on it, where this appraisal was upheld as the value, and this is what we're going on. We have something to back ourselves up.
Right. I mean, that's a good tact as well. You know, I mean, again, it's the data that proves, you know, it's not a theory, it's actuality, and it's a court case.
Right, and you know, some of them had like a 61A value on them, even though they weren't in chapter. And so that was one of the stumbling blocks really that I saw about it when I was looking at it. So it's like, okay, their value, they shouldn't be having that same value unless there was some type of agreement. And that's what I sort of thought too. Maybe there was some agreement with the assessor back in the 80s, because you know, it's been flooding out all this time. And maybe. Yeah,
I mean, that whole area has been, you know, it was. But the thing is, with values changing so drastically in town over the past 15 years, you know, it just kept going up. And, you know, the other thing is, I mean, I know Skip's situation where, you know, he didn't file for the 61A, and that's when everything went up. I mean, you know, the thing is, I guess just reaching out and making everything necessarily legal or you know, proper. Maybe proper is a better term, of just, you know, if you're eligible for 61A, do it. But I mean, also realizing that it's not our job to keep reminding you, you know, you either do it or you don't. You know, you need to do it every year.
Right. Well, I guess part of the issue is that they had, part of the issue is they discovered that the lien wasn't put on the other two parcels. So when originally he went into 61A, they got the $80 fee or whatever it was at the time for the municipal lien certificate, so that they could put the lien, so that the town has the right of first refusal. And that's why he was pulled out, because he didn't want to give that to Lori so that we could, you know, dot all our I's and cross all our T's and make sure that we had everything there. And so that's why I thought it was a good solution to say, give me the money for the liens now, and we'll put you back to 61A. And I feel even more strongly about that now that I could see that clearly they had corn going.
Right.
You know, so, you know, it's true agricultural property. And, you know, if you know, he's entitled to that, you know, that agricultural value if he wants to have it. But, you know, he's sticking to his guns. And, you know, if he wants it to be, instead of valued at, you know, 2,900, he wants it to be valued at 22,000. Well, you know, we can do that. Even though he's growing his crop on it, and it would, you know, is more than qualified to have it otherwise. You know, that's unfortunate that he's being stubborn about that. And I'll try and talk to him again, because one of his concerns was the right of first refusal. And I explained to them that if he had an offer that was, you know, that we wouldn't just be able to come in and swoop in and buy it for whatever we wanted. If he had,
the city does not want that land.
Yeah,
there's no value.
Yeah, and there's
no value to it. We have enough little parcels all over the town that have been taken, or that's, you know, owned by the city, that's, you know, little triangles here and there, that I mean, it doesn't,
Right.
they don't want it. They don't want it. And,
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
Yeah,
I know we can lead them to the Expo, but we can't make them drink. So
yeah, right.
that's,
Well put.
That was a really good idea.
yeah. So anyway,
So,
well,
yeah.
thanks
the
for all
other-
your work on that, Randy.
No problem. The
So-
other cases were postponed, and so we've got time to react to those, and I'll fill you in as we get closer.
Okay. And we're having another meeting this month?
The 23rd.
23rd. So I guess we have Miss Martha, we need a motion to accept the abatements and all the stuff.
I'll make a motion to accept the abatements and all the
And all the
other
stuff.
stuff.
All right. And I'll second that. So, okay. And Christine, what are we going to do? Are you going to drop that off at Martha's or mine? And we'll
She
sign it?
wants me to drop it at your house so she can get it in the morning.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's good. That sounds fine.
But yeah, I got a dentist appointment in Holyoke at 8:30, so I'll come
Okay.
after it instead of before it.
All right.
But I'll send you a text from your driveway, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks. Motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
Okay. All righty, all. Thanks. And
All right.
Did you have anything else, Randy?
No,
No, okay.
good to see you all. That's all.
yep. Thanks for the great ideas. So.